All right, this is a video for the Unit 3 review sheet. Some of this will go quick, some of it I will spend a little extra time on if I feel like it's needed. This is for you to just use as a reference in case you were stuck on a question or a little confused. But if you're still confused from the video, either ask someone in your class who you know is getting it, or please email me, mrzuckerbrau@gmail.com. You know I will answer. For those of you who have emailed me, you know I answer quickly. There's a few errors on the review sheet that you have to fix. I think I told you about it in class, but if not, just do it now. Number one, there's a lot of gaps in the choices. If you look at the choices that are on the screen right now, these are correct. So for example, in choices A, B, and D, a lot of negative signs are missing. So just go with that. Okay, number one, which relation is a function? A function is when each x value has one corresponding y value. So you just have to make sure that that's true. So in A, 2 goes with 4, 1 goes to 2, 0 with 0, negative 1 to 2, negative 2 to 4. Each x value only goes to one y value. I don't care that 2 and negative 2 both go to the y value of 4. As long as each x value only goes to one place, then it's fine. So A is a function. B, if you look at it, is also a function because each x value goes to one y value. C is not a function because 1, the x value of 1 goes to two different y values. It goes to 1 and negative 1. That makes it not a function. And then D is a function. So 3 answers for that one. That won't happen on the test, and the test will only be one answer. Number 2, Rashida paid a handyman X dollars per hour for a 5-hour job, plus a $25 maintenance fee. So she paid a handyman X dollars per hour for a $5 job. So that would be 5x plus 25. The total charge for the job was 175, so it equals 175. Which equation represents the rate per hour the plumber charged? So we're trying to solve for the x. I noticed that choice A matches what I wrote exactly, so that's the answer. 5x plus 25 equals 175. But there could have been other answers. Maybe you might have seen 5x equals 150. Because that's the same thing. That's just subtracting 25 from both sides. So just make sure you pick the choice that matches your equation. The graph below illustrates the number of acres used for farming in a small town, New York, over several years. Using a line of best fit, approximately how many acres for the 6th year? So you need to draw the line of best fit. That's the only way to do this one. So something like that. And I look at 6 years, and it looks like it's kind of close to 100, maybe a little under. But 100 is the only one that makes sense. Number 4. The table below represents the total miles as a function of the number of gallons of gas that are in the tank. So if you have 2 gallons of gas, you can go 60 miles. If you have 8 gallons, you can go 240 miles. If you have 10 gallons, you can go 300 miles. What does the rate of change represent? The rate of change is the slope. And we know that slope is the change in the y values over the change in the x values. Well, the y value is miles, and the x value is gallons. So it's really just showing us how many miles per gallon. That's what the slope would be telling us here. If we found the slope, it would be 240 minus 60 over 8 minus 2, which comes out to 30. So that means they're getting 30 miles per gallon. The answer choice that matches this is choice C, the number of miles you can travel per gallon of gas. Okay, let's move on to the next page. Number 5, which one is not a function? So you need to look for the one that has an x value that goes to 2 different y values. Well, that's choice A. The x value of 1 corresponds to 4 and to 5. The 2 and the 6 is fine, even though it shows up twice. It's just that x value of 1 that's a problem. Number 6, Kelly created two functions. Which statement about the rate of change of the functions are true? Rate of change means slope. So the slope of function A is -2. You need to figure out the slope of the table. So x1, y1, x2, y2, 4 minus 1 over 0 minus -1 is 3 over 1, which is just 3. 3 over 1 is just 3. So choice D, function B has a greater rate of change than function A. Which graph represents a function? Anytime you're given a graph, you do the vertical line test. So I can see that a vertical line anywhere through that graph only touches it once, so that's your answer. And B goes through that S more than once, and C it goes through that sideways U more than once, and in D it goes through it more than once. If it goes through it just once, at any point through the graph, it's a function. Otherwise, if it goes through more than once, it's not a function. Number 8, which function has the least rate of change? So we got to find the rate of change of each. We can do rise over run for the first one because it's a graph. Up 100 over 5. 100 over 5 equals 20. For B, it's the number in front of the x because we're in slope intercept form, so m equals 19. For C, you can do x1, y1, x2, y2. Notice I'm picking the numbers that look the easiest to me. Oops, labeled that incorrectly. Let me fix that for you. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So 1 minus -2 over 1 minus 0 is 3 over 1, which equals 3. And the cost of the house cleaning service was $40 per hour with a $30 initial fee, and equals 40. So C has the least rate of change. The graph shows the change in water temperature of a glass of tap water over time. What information is true about the graph? The water temperature is increasing. Please don't pick that. I'll go nuts. Don't pick that one. Obviously wrong. It's going down and to the right. As time increases, the temperature is decreasing. B, the water temperature is decreasing at a rate of 0.5 degrees per minute. When you see per something, it's asking about the slope. So we have to find the slope. Let's do rise over run. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to count to here. You need to pick 2 points that are on your line and count from one to the other. Down 5 over 10. -5 over 10, or -0.5. Well, that's what B says. Decreasing, -0.5 per minute. Done. That's the answer. The water temperature will reach 0 at 40. Well, here's 40, and it didn't reach 0, so that's wrong. And it was placed in the freezer at 20 degrees. No, it was placed in the freezer at 25. Number 10, John and Mary work jobs over the summer. Y equals 18x shows Mary's earnings, so she earns $18 per hour. And we're going to figure out how much John earns per hour. So x1, x2, y1, y2. I noticed in class we're unit 3 now, but this is a unit 2 topic, and all of a sudden we're messing up the slope formula. Make sure the numbers go in the right place, and to help you do that, write down the formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now we just plug in those numbers. 104 minus 52 over 8 minus 4 equals 52 over 4 equals 13. So she makes $5 more per hour than John. Choice C. Next page. The table below shows the hours worked last week by employees at the insurance company. Of all the employees, right away, any kind of two-way table question, you need to figure out the total group they're talking about. Are they asking about all of the employees? Are they asking about just the managers? Are they asking about just the office staff? Or in other questions? Make sure that you're figuring out the total first. So of all the employees, so we're talking about everyone. We're talking about the managers and the office staff. So we need to get the total number. I can get that by adding up all these numbers. 5 plus 15 plus 8 plus 35 plus 15 plus 8. So how many managers are there? 5 plus 15 plus 8 is 28. How many office staff? 35 plus 15 is 50 plus 8 is 58. So how many total employees are there? 86. So of the 86 employees, what is the approximate relative frequency of office staff who work less than 30 hours? Office staff, less than 30, 35 of them. 35 divided by 86 is 0.406976744, which if I turn it into a percent is approximately 40.7%. Choice D is the only one that matches that. If you do a different method, if you like setting up the proportion, 35 over 86 equals percent over 100, do it that way, please. That way is perfectly acceptable. Number 12, how does the rate of change of the graph compare to the rate of change of the function? Well, this function has a rate of change of -2, and our graph has a function of, let's see, rise over run. Down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. So down 2 over 1 equals -2, so they're the same. Both the graph and equation have a rate of change of -2. Careful with your negatives and positives tomorrow. Benjamin, Layla, and John each deposited a set amount of money, blah, blah, blah. They want to know which statement is true. So we got to figure out how much they're saving per month based on the choices. If we look at Ben, he's on the graph, do rise over run, up 600 over 1, up 600 over 1, so 600 over 1. Layla, if you do x1, y1, x2, y2, and do the slope formula, it's 1800 minus 1400 over 2 minus 1, so we can see that she's saving 400 per month. And we can see that John, the number in front of the x, is also 400. So which statement is true? Layla and John are saving at the same rate. Number 14, which one best describes the graph? Y equals negative 10x minus 5. So I know that the slope is negative 10. I know that the y-intercept is negative 5. Choice A, linear function that decreases from left to right with a y-intercept of negative 5. Sounds fine to me. Number 17, compare the rates of change. So again, x1, y1, x2, y2. Slope formula, 10 minus 4 over 1 minus -1 equals 6 over 2, which equals 3. And function 2, the value of y is 3 times the value of x increased by 6. So the value of y, so I know I did that quickly, I'm going to do it a little slower now. The value of y is, I see the word is, that's like an equal sign, 3 times the value of x. When you multiply a number and a variable, you just write them next to each other. Increased plus 6. So the slope of that is 3. So function 1 and 2 have the same rate of change. Next question, number 18. Which equation listed below is linear? That would be choice C. It's in the form y equals mx plus b. There is no b because it's a direct variation, but it's still in that form. Plus all the other ones, the variable has an exponent. That means it's nonlinear. Number 19, which phrase describes a nonlinear function? So the perimeter of a rectangle is a function of the length and width. How do you find the perimeter of a rectangle? You just add up all the sides. That sounds pretty linear to me. The cost of a cell phone based on data used, we've done those in class, we know those are linear. The cost of gasoline is a function of gallons purchased, we know that's linear. The volume of a sphere is a function of the radius. Volume equals 4 over 3 pi radius cubed. I noticed that the variable has an exponent, non-linear. So that's what they're asking there. Which formula is non-linear? So you just have to know the formulas. Make sure you know the area of a circle tomorrow, or on Monday or Tuesday, depending on when your test is. Pi times radius squared. That's the area of a circle. You'll need to know that. All right, number 20. Mr. Wallace surveyed 75 students at Poole Middle School to find out the student's favorite place to eat lunch. The results are shown. So the two categories are gender and where they like to eat lunch. So we have boys, girls, cafeteria outside. And they want to know which table shows the approximate relative frequencies of Mr. Wallace's data. So to find the relative frequency, you take one of the numbers and you put it over the total. So you need to just pick a number and test it. So for example, boys who like to eat in the cafeteria. There are 16 of them. There are 75 total students. And if I turn that into a percent, it's around 21.3%. So this box should be 21%. Only one of them has 21% there. That's choice B. If you're not sure, do another one. Let's look at girls who like to eat outside. 14 of them, 75 total students. That's around 18.7%. So it'll be 19% in our tables. And again, the only one that has that 19% there is choice B. So just try a few of the numbers until only one of the tables makes sense. If we look at the other ones though, we notice that some don't make sense. A just took the numbers that were in the table and put a percent sign. That is not how you find a percent. So this is just completely absurd. This bottom right corner box always needs to be 100%. So in C, we have that 100%, but these numbers don't make sense at all. If you do the relative frequency, those do not match. And then in D, again, there's just too much going on with these 100%. No good. Everything should add up to 100% at the end, but just test a few of them like I did. Pick two random boxes, test them, that should be enough. Okay, number 21. Here's where we had another issue on the printing. Your line is starting at the origin. It should not be. It should be starting where my line starts. So everyone look at my line. It starts at 212. That's where yours needs to start. And then from there, it needs to go up one over one, 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 until this point, it's the one that's at 1994, 222. So just make sure you redraw the correct line. It'll make the question a lot easier. So the first part of this question, what was the increase in the number of people per year slope? So I'm going to do rise over run since it's on a graph. It's going up 2 over 1. But it's not up 2, it's up 2 million. So 2 million people per year it was increasing. Then it says during the next 3 years, the amount of people increased at triple the rate. Well, the rate was 2 million, so triple the rate is going to be 6 million. What is the new rate of change over the next 3 years? Explain how you can use that number to figure out how many people have health insurance in 1998. I think you guys can do this part on your own. If not, come in with questions. I'll go over that in class because I don't want to write it all out right now. Number 22, this is a good question. The only issue with it is you're going to end up with some fractions, which you guys hate, but you have to deal with. So, find the rate of change. Well, we do that by doing the slope formula. x1, y1, x2, y2. So, plug it into the formula, y2 minus y1, 5 minus 8 over 5 minus 3 equals negative 3 over 2. Can I simplify that? No. So that's the slope. Negative 3 over 2. Now I need to find the initial value of this function. So one of the ways we learned how to do this in class was to work backwards on our table until we get to an x value of 0. However, this one's not going to work out nicely because it's counting by 2's. So we're going to go to 1 and then to negative 1, and it gets a little confusing. So what we can do is use the point slope formula. Y minus y1 equals n parentheses x minus x1. And I'm going to use the same x1 and y1 that I used here. So y minus 8 equals negative 3 over 2 x minus 3. The first thing I'm going to do on the right-hand side of the equation is get rid of the parentheses by doing the distributive property. y minus 8 equals negative 3 over 2x plus 9 over 2. The reason it's plus 9 over 2 is because we're multiplying negative 3 over 2 by negative 3. That subtraction sign acts as a negative. Now to get the y by itself, I add 8 to both sides, and I get y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 25 over 2. So the y-intercept is 25 over 2, or 12.5. Both of those are correct. So the initial value, 25 over 2, or 12.5. Thank you, calculator. C, write a function rule that represents the situation. We even give you a hint of what that means. Y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 12.5. That's all that means. That's the function. Number 23, the table below shows a relation. Explain if the relation is a function or not. Well, let's take a look. The x value of negative 3 corresponds with the y value of 5. However, the x value of negative 3 also corresponds to the y value of negative 3. So this is not a function. And you can write something like some of the x values correspond to more than one y value. If it is a function, well, we can stop there. It's not a function, so you can't do part B. Number 24. This is right off the state exam last year with different numbers, so this is the type of question you expect to be able to answer. The express elevator in building A travels nonstop from the ground floor to the top floor at a rate of 1,200 feet per minute. The express elevator in building B travels nonstop from the ground floor to the top floor at a rate represented by the equation y equals 15x, where y is the height in feet, and x is the number of seconds. Minutes, seconds. That's a problem. If you want to compare two numbers, they have to be the same unit. So I'm going to look at my graph, because that's going to be a clue of what unit I should use. Do I want to use seconds, or do I want to use minutes? Well, obviously, I want to use seconds, since that's what it gives me here. So I'm going to convert this 1,200 feet per minute to seconds. There are 60 seconds in a minute. 1,200 divided by 60 equals 20 feet per second. So now I need to graph the two relationships. So one of them is y equals 15x, and one of them is y equals 20x. So they both start at 0, 0. And the first one, y equals 15x, let's see, at 10, it'll be at 150. At 20, it'll be at 300. At 30, it'll be at 450. At 40, it'll be at 600. And then you can just draw your line from there. So I pick my line. You're going to use a ruler, I really hope. And there's my line. I'm obviously going to draw an arrow at the end of it because it keeps going. And I'm going to label it y equals 15x. The next one starts at 0, 0. At 10, it's at 200. At 20, it's at 400. At 30, it's at 600. At 40, it's at 800. Again, ruler. Connect the dots. Arrow at the end. Arrow at the end and label y equals 20x. Then it says which one is going at a faster rate. You'll have to explain. I think you can do that as well. Last question, 25. 80 children went on a school trip, so that's a total of 80. They went to London, New York. 23 boys and 19 girls went to London. 23, 19. That's a total of 42 went to London. 14 boys went to York, so that means there were 37 total boys. That means there were 43 total girls, and that means that 24 girls went to York. So the total people that went to York was 38. Complete the two-way table. I just did that for you. Find the relative frequency of all the students who are boys and went to London. Boys who went to London, 23 over 80, which is 0.2875, which is 28.75%, which is approximately 29%. Find the relative frequency of female students who went to York to the total amount of students surveyed. To the total amount of students surveyed. Female students who went to York was 24. 24 over 80 is 0.3, which is 30%. So that's it. If you have questions, email me. Come to class on Friday. Ready to go, ready to answer. Good luck.